welcome in for another edition of the Morning Espresso here on the SDH Network, brought to you by our friends at Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. Atlanta United could use a few soccer powerhouses right now. First time in club history that the team has lost back to back games by 3 goals or more. Another 3-0 loss on the road at Orlando City over the weekend was not a pleasant match in any way. Decent start, gave up a goal due to a VAR intervention on a penalty, which I didn't love the intervention and it took forever. It's given, and things didn't really come back from there. Two bad goals in the second half, and Atlanta United ends up losing 3-0. And look, there's a lot of pressure on the team coming back home for a match on Saturday afternoon against Nashville SC, a Nashville team that won 7-2 over the weekend against Chicago, and an Atlanta team that needs to find some life in it somehow, some way. We'll talk a lot about this week. There'll be a lot about it this morning on SDH AM, starting at 9:05 on the YouTube page, also on Twitch, and also on X. I'll be talking about it on Atlanta Soccer Tonight on Tuesday as well. And we'll be out at training Tuesday and Thursday this week with training ground dispatches on both days. Going to be a big week and a very big game on Saturday against Nashville. We'll be talking about it as we go, but it's got to be better than it has been these last 2 games on the road. And you got to find some goals, which you haven't done in quite a while. Haven't scored a goal from the run of play because the last goal was a penalty scored by Miguel Almiron. Haven't scored a goal in the run of play in a long time. That has to change. It has to change. I wish there was an easy answer to it. I think people are at times trying to oversimplify it. It's it's not a good situation, and we will see what happens this week. It's a very big week for the club, and we'll see what happens. Let's talk around MLS right now. Inter Miami, they lost their first game of the season in terms of MLS play. Lost to Dallas 4-3. They had the lead 3-1 after the hour mark. Rested Messi, rested Busquets, rested Alba, rested Suarez ahead of the Concacaf Champions Cup second leg against Vancouver in the semifinal. Javier Mascherano put his hand up afterwards, took blame for the loss. Said, "We played a very good game for 65 minutes, managed to come back from being 1-0 down early." He said, "But unfortunately, I made a mistake in reading the match, and in the end, I couldn't help the players. They kind of got too defensive there with the lead, and it ended up costing them." Vancouver, on the other side of that semifinal, they won 3-1 at Minnesota United. Sebastian Berhalter scored from outside the 18, his third goal in the month of April. He'd only scored 5 goals across all competitions in his first 5 pro seasons. He's got 3 goals in April. Also in this match, MLS announced that it is aware of a reported violation of the league's non-discrimination policy. Happened late in the game, apparently 95th minute. The broadcast feed showed a verbal altercation between Minnesota's Joseph Rosales and Vancouver's Emmanuel Sabi, with Sabi's teammate Berhalter joining in and gesturing at Rosales. There were continued arguments after the final whistle. MLS is investigating, as are both clubs. Mentioned Chicago's 7-2 loss to Nashville. Greg Berhalter apologized. He said, "We deserved to lose the way we did." Blamed the defeat not just on the defense, but a collective failure, is the quote, across all lines. Quote, "Today was an absolute disaster," unquote. Cincinnati, they stay on top in the East. A 2-1 win over Kansas City. Kevin Denke with a goal of the year contender, a bicycle kick in the 78th minute. Portland, they remain unbeaten in 7 straight after a 4-2 win in Los Angeles over the Galaxy. And Denny Boanga last night scored an amazing goal deep in stoppage time to level the match with St. Louis 2-2. It was a chaotic go-ahead goal for the visitors where the ball's deflecting around. It deflects, a clearance deflects off the back of a player into the back of the net. They checked VAR for about 5 different things in the situation. Nothing given, so it's a goal, but then Boanga goes down and puts the team on his back and finds the equalizer 2-2. Top 5 teams in MLS after this weekend. Vancouver, number 1 on 23 points. Cincinnati on 22. Columbus on 21. Philadelphia on 19. Charlotte on 19. They lost to New England at home over the weekend. Bottom 5, DC on 9, Kansas City on 7, Toronto on 7, Montreal on 3, and LA Galaxy on 3, your defending champions. Copa del Rey. In Spain, what a match. Jules Conde, he scored an extra time winner to beat Real Madrid. It was 2-2 through 90 minutes. It looked like penalties were coming. Kunde scored from about 22 yards out, a great goal to win it. Barca had been the better team in the first half. Pedri with an outstanding goal from outside the 18 to open the scoring. Real Madrid, they improved dramatically when Kylian Mbappe came on as a substitute, curled a free kick into the bottom corner. That tied it. Tchouameni headed Real Madrid into the lead from an Arda Güler corner. Barcelona leveled it before the end of regulation. Ferran Torres ran on to Lamine Yamal's long ball, dribbled the goalkeeper, slotted it in. Looked like Barcelona was going to get a penalty in injury time. Rafinha drew it. Decision was overturned after a long VAR check. Goes to extra time. Kunde's goal makes the difference. The whole buildup to this was dominated by scrutiny of the referees. It was in large part due to a video that Real Madrid TV posted complaining about the referee and pointing out mistakes that he had made in previous games. The referee had a press conference on Friday, tearfully talking about how it was, and I can't really repeat it, not FCC violations here, but we're not going to run afoul of that and have to put the adult language thing on here. But the referee was very upset about the video. This is not the first time that Real Madrid has done this. I think it's a horrible look, and it's something that the club really has to stop doing. It's for a club that I think has tried to always bring an air of honor outside of their time with Jose Mourinho. This is a horrible look, and they've done it all season, and it's created issues going into pretty much every big game that they've done this with. In this one, you get more issues. Antonio Rudiger throws something on the field after a decision very late. He's sent off. Lucas Vasquez is sent off from the bench. Jude Bellingham is sent off after the final whistle for angrily confronting officials. It's just an extremely bad look. There was talk that after the referee's press conference that Real Madrid wasn't going to go forward with any of the pomp and circumstance around the Copa del Rey final. They eventually did. Spain's got to get control of the situation in general, the Spanish Federation, La Liga, but Real Madrid has to stop with this. They really do. It's gotten really bad. Also, with Real Madrid, they got to figure out what they're going to do with the coaching situation. Carlo Ancelotti set for more talks about taking over as the Brazilian national team manager. That will continue. A Brazilian businessman, Diego Fernandes, has been acting on behalf of the Brazilian Federation. He was at the game. He's going to sit down with Carlo Ancelotti reportedly sometime this week, trying to get Ancelotti to take the Brazil job as soon as the La Liga season is over. That would mean Ancelotti would leave before the Club World Cup and he would be in place for the June World Cup qualifiers for Brazil. Xabi Alonso, Bayer Leverkusen, they're waiting for a call from Real Madrid to figure out what's going to happen with them. Marca has reported this in Spain, but they've also reported that conversations are still at least being had internally at Real Madrid about talking to Jurgen Klopp. Now, Klopp's agent shut down rumors that he was unhappy in his role with Red Bull. That kind of said, I'm not interested in going back to management. He has a contract. There's nothing more to say. But as we know, contracts can be broken and they can be bought out. Same thing with Xabi Alonso, by the way. There is a contract. Leverkusen has said they won't stand in the way, but they're going to have to get some money out of this, as would Red Bull, if Real Madrid's going to go for either Klopp or Xabi Alonso. Stay tuned. Speaking of Jurgen Klopp, his previous team, Liverpool, they won their second Premier League title, their 20th English top flight championship. They're now level with Manchester United as the most successful side in English top flight history with 20 championships. Arne Slot, he becomes the third manager in Liverpool's history to win the title in his first season in charge. Joe Fagan did it in 1984. Kenny Dalglish did it in 1986. He also joins an elite group of managers, Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, Manuel Pellegrini, and Antonio Conte, who won the Premier League in their first season. Mo Salah, 28 goals, 18 assists. Crazy numbers. 4 games left. Salah's 1 goal contribution away from tying the 47. That's the record. That's set by Alan Shearer and Andy Cole. Those were during 42 game seasons, not 38. Incredible for Mo Salah. Incredible for Liverpool. Incredible for Arne Slot. Nobody gave them a chance to win the league this season. Everybody was talking about he's going to fail. He might be the first manager fired, and he wins the title. Incredible work from Arne Slot, and great work from Jurgen Klopp as well on the way out in helping Arne Slot be set up for success. It's hard to follow a legend. It's very hard to follow a legend after they did not win. Arne Slot went better than the legend with this title after last season. That was a little bit of a disappointment for Liverpool. UEFA Women's Champions League, Arsenal with an incredible comeback. They whooped up on Lyon in France. 4-1 win for Arsenal in front of 20,000 people. They were down 2-1 after a late winner for Lyon in London. So Arsenal gets to the UEFA Women's Champions League final. They will face Barcelona. Speaking of whooping up, Barcelona, well, they won the second leg against Chelsea 4-1. They won the first leg against Chelsea 4-1. They win the series 8-2 on aggregate. Barca and Arsenal in the UEFA Women's Champions League final. In WSL, Kansas City Current, first place coming into the weekend. They lose 3-2, first loss of the season to the North Carolina Courage. Courage hadn't won in 5. Current was perfect with 5 wins in 5 games. Kaylee Kurtz equalized in the 90th minute. Ashley Sanchez won the game for the Courage 3 minutes later. There's also news on the NWSL front that they're going to start a second division, very similar to MLS Next Pro. As a reserve league, 8 teams are committed in starting second teams in NWSL's new second division. FA Cup semifinals, Manchester City. They've qualified for the FA Cup final for the 14th time in their history. 2-0 winners over Nottingham Forest. Crystal Palace, 3-0 winners over Aston Villa. They'll meet in the final on May 17th at Wembley. Wrexham, they have advanced to the championship now. They have earned promotion. First time in 43 years that they will be in the second division. First time any club has achieved 3 straight promotions across England's top tiers. Club was bought by Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, $2.5 million in 2021. They were promoted back to the EFL after 15 years in 2023. They were promoted after a second place finish in League Two last year. Looks like they're going to finish second in this League One to go to the championship this year. Birmingham City, who's going to win the league, 105 points. That is a new League One points record, breaking Wolves' 103 points in 2014. So 2 interesting teams. Wrexham's going to get a lot of the headlines. Birmingham City, another one that are going up into the championship. Be very, very curious to watch the championship next season. Serie A, Napoli. They now have the lead by 3 points over Inter. Inter lost at home to Roma. Napoli won 2-0 over Torino. Scott McTominay scored both goals for Napoli. He's got 11 on the season now, the most by a Scottish player in Serie A history, passing Dennis Law's 1962 season at Torino. Inter, on the other side, they look exhausted. They were going for a quadruple. They didn't score against Bologna a few games ago. They didn't score against Milan in the Coppa Italia semifinal, second leg. They didn't score against Roma. They might not have any trophies after not too long ago looking for a quadruple. They do have Champions League. They do get Barcelona this week. We'll be talking about it. But can they find something? Because right now it's not good for Inter, and they're in second place in Serie A. River and Boca, the Argentine Super Classico. River with the 2-1 win. Franco Mastantuono and Sebastian Drusi, your goal scorers. The free kick from Mastantuono, 17 years old. He's one of the next jewels of Argentine football. All the big clubs around the world want to sign him. What a free kick from him. Go seek that one out. River is trying to get to level the all-time series with Boca. They're 4 wins away from doing that. Let's go to Africa, the African Champions League. Surprises in the semifinals. We've talked about it a little bit here on the Espresso. The first legs both scoreless in South Africa. The second legs were in Cairo. And it's not the 2 Egyptian teams that are in the final. One of them is Pyramids. The other one, Mamelodi Sundowns, an upset result over the defending champions in the competition, Al Ahly. It was an own goal from Yasser Ibrahim in stoppage time late in the second leg in Cairo. The Sundowns beat Al Ahly on away goals after a 1-1 draw. Second game of the day, Pyramids, they came back twice to beat Orlando Pirates 3-2. Fiston Mayele scored twice for the home team to advance to the final. First ever Champions League final for Pyramids. They will take on Mamelodi Sundowns in the first leg in Pretoria in May 24th. Second leg will be back in Cairo on June 1st. SDH AM starting in about 20 minutes or so on the YouTube page here, also on X, also on Twitch. Tons of content all week long. High school state tournaments are into the round of 16. We'll be talking about that. We'll have plenty of games starting on Wednesday with Johns Creek's boys on the road at McIntosh. That'll be Wednesday night. Games on Thursday, games on Friday. Soccer is in session all week as well at noon. You'll hear from high school coaches all around the state of Georgia. Very busy week ahead. Lots of games this weekend with Atlanta United hosting Nashville. First team action, unified team action. Second team, Atlanta United 2, who drew yesterday scoreless on the road at Cincinnati. Atlanta United 2 will be on the road at Huntsville Saturday night. We'll have coverage of all of that and more this week. But thank you for watching, and thank you to our friends at Oglethorpe University for presenting another edition of the Morning Espresso.